Doubleheader game 2 underway. We're about to get the first pitch. Mary Beth Feldman in the circle for the Spartans. This one's going to be grounded to Balmer. 1 away.
Wow, Kelsey Peck, just like that, the first batter of the game, the first out of the game. Good job by her to put the bat on the ball. And the Spartans, that's how ready you have to be to play. First batter of the game gets up, and a ball playable in the infield. As you see, Peck retired.
You rarely have a moment of rest. Keely Smith back batting second. And from the first game, no serious changes except for Brady coming in for Florida Southern. As Colgate, I think, is going to shift to a designated player this time around. But again, it's game 2 of this doubleheader and the second game of this 3-game series between the Spartans and Mocs. If you are just joining us, Tampa came off an 8-0 victory where Mariah Galehouse pitched a perfect game in a quotation marks, as it did have to end half an inning early thanks to the run-ahead rule and a good walk-off hit by Lexi Chevalier.
It's interesting, Taylor, that you say how similar this game looks to the last one. It was 81 degrees at game time for game 1, and it's 80. So as you said, personnel-wise, same thing with Mother Nature. Not much has changed. As you see, Kenley Smith fouled that one off. Count 2-2 to her here in the top of the first.
No changes in the field for the Spartans. They're running the same players as they did in game number 1. Galehouse is going to be out in right field instead of Perkins, since she won't have any more duties from the circle today. Although Galehouse will definitely be, I think, the go-to for the game tomorrow. She only had 59 pitches in their win, so she will be feeling pretty rested as we enter a new day later on. This one fouled away. It's 2-2 for Smith. But apart from that, Russo at third, Ballmer at short, Weininger at second, DeSimone at first, Fantone, Keister, Galehouse in the outfield, Chevalier and Feldman form the battery. This one lined and caught at third by Russo. Good job to make the catch. Ralston steps up now. For the season, Mariah Galehouse, 7-1. Is credited with not Galehouse, Feldman, 6-0, 7 games started, 7 appearances, 2 complete games, enters with a 2.44 ERA because she has 2 more earned runs than Galehouse. And the first time today, Florida Southern gets a base hit. It gets into the outfield and drops in front of Galehouse. So Feldman was trying to replicate the perfect game she had last season. It's not going to come tonight. I think you even see Feldman doing a little "aw shucks" movement as the 2-out ball lands in play. Galehouse is there to prevent it from being extra bases. But 2 times this season we've seen Galehouse get some asterisks on perfect games, Bruce.
Well, here I think it goes without saying that for Florida Southern, they absolutely wanted to and needed to get a hit early on, and they do it right there. So that's a big monkey off their back, and certainly gives them a different mindset now as this game gets underway.
Keister makes the play in the outfield, so the 1 hit out of the way. So I think for Feldman, that might help her because she won't have to worry about, okay, now I'm almost in a bad no-hit situation as well, because that's where the pressure can get to you. Now she can play a little more relaxed. 1 hit conceded, time to just complete the shutout again. That'll be her hope. And for the Spartans, they want to do the opposite. Due up will be Fantone, Keister, and Russo. We'll be back right after this. Fantone leads off again. And Bruce, this time around, no changes for the Spartans. The only change will be Galehouse is going to be playing in right field, and Perkins is the designated player in the lineup.
Well, certainly UT hopes that nothing is going to change and that they'll pick up where they left off in Game 1 and that they still have their hitting shoes on and have enough offense to get through the second game. We won't even start talking about tomorrow's 12 o'clock Game 3. A new task before the Spartans here, and wow, there's a great start. Lauren Fantone. I talked about her, Taylor, in the first game, that she's just so reliable and makes me look good there with a leadoff single.
I know Fantone will enjoy that. She went hitless in the previous game, despite an overall successful day for the Spartans. Fantone was able to get on base early in the game thanks to an error and would later score. Fantone won't need an error this time with that nice hit into the outfield. No-hitter for either side is possible now. Here's Lily Keister, and here comes the sacrifice bunt, and it works perfectly. Fantone is actually going to go 3. So here's what happened. When the bunt was dropped, the pitcher that we have forgotten to introduce for the first batter, Mel Rogers, went to the left, thinking that the second base player or first base player was going to run and get it. But indeed, no, as she runs away from the circle, Connor and Smith just stand there, not ready. Keister makes it to third.
Yeah, that's a really bizarre turn of events. Not something that I think anybody expected to have happen. And as you mentioned, you do have to credit Lauren Fantone for being heads up on the base paths and winding up over at third base. And probably not what anyone expected all the way around, including Fantone ending up at third.
And I think that's the reason that we're going to see this early conference. Nothing that Rogers is really doing wrong. First hit was a nice line drive in this one. Just a failure to communicate, as my father loves to say.
Well, the thing here is, after that first game, we talked about how the slate gets wiped clean, but all of a sudden, Florida Southern, you commit a mistake like that early on, and now the Spartans have a runner in scoring position and there's nobody out yet. I think this is an opportunity where head coach Mo Triner wants to come out and say, look, it ends here. We can't have any miscues like that. We need to rebound from that Game 1 loss, and that's not the way to do it. That's not a good start. Let's close this out quickly and get ourselves out of this inning.
So Keister was going, and the key word that we had in Game 1 yet was finally put into play. Russo was going to drop a bunt to advance the runner. Instead gets away from Brady, who's filling in behind the plate to form the battery. It doesn't go far enough to get Fantone home, though. Here's a 1-0 to Russo, and now has both runners in scoring position.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say that, that changes things. I was curious to see what was going to happen because clearly there's no reason for her to bunt at this point, and you saw her swinging for the fences there. And Russo count now 1-1 against her with runners on second and third and nobody out.
This one popped up, and Russo does a good job to avoid any collisions in the base paths. That's been something that's actually affected the Spartans baseball team throughout the season. A couple times players have gone down in contact. Good job to move around, but Russo will be disappointed to pop that one up.
She will, but at the same time, it's only out number 1, and UT does have runners on second and third. So still the door is wide open here for them to do some damage early.
Taken high for ball 1 is Weininger. Fun fact about Mel Rogers, they entered the game with a 2.66 ERA, but she's conceded 26 runs compared to 14 earned. That definitely says that the defense has not given her as much help as she would like. This one popped up, although the defense doing good this time around as they get the second out.
Good play there behind the plate by Michaela Brady. And now Rogers can exhale a little bit more out in the pitching circle with there being 2 outs. Although Mariah Galehouse, she's probably got some unfinished business here offensively, not having been able to help her own cause in Game 1. And she's going to make Rogers work here, bottom of the first.
Galehouse sends us up the middle. The Spartans take a 1-run, 2-run lead. And I know that feels good for Galehouse. After a near-perfect game, but an 0-for-3 day at the plate, She'll bring home 2 runs to give an early start to the Spartans.
Yeah, Mariah Galehouse has to feel really terrific there and gives her team an early 2-0 lead. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. And this was really Florida Southern's undoing in Game 1, watching UT get on the board early, as they're doing now here in Game 2.
Perkins is going to take the first pitch for ball 1. Wadsworth has swapped places with Rodriguez as the 2 umpires today. Wadsworth behind the plate, Rodriguez taking the field now. And generally we'll see the umpires switch and get a new perspective of the game in doubleheaders. Perkins inside, and Galehouse is going to get to second. So already the Spartans now a little more aggressive in the base path. Your hypothesis right. They're waiting until maybe the catching arm is a little tired, even though they did actually switch the catcher for the game.
Yeah, Galehouse uncontested there and sets up nicely for Avery Perkins. Chance to make it 3-0.
Perkins won't be in the field, but is still the designated player for the Spartans. And this should end the inning. Yes, it does. So tough luck on the grounder. It was a good catch by Rogers, but Galehouse did the damage. She couldn't help her own cause, but she will help Feldman's. It's a 2-0 Spartan lead.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
Well, for D1 basketball, it's a season of madness. Today here at Namoli Family Stadium, it's been a little bit of madness in terms of no-hitters, perfect games, and more. But that madness has quickly died down. Galehouse with 2 outs in the first, surrendered a decent hit to center, but immediately got out of the potential jam. And now we'll be looking to get another quick inning here. She's been, Feldman, oh my goodness, wow. Feldman's got the run support from Galehouse in the previous inning. And now we'll hold the 2-0 lead to get started. But now the count will also go to 2-0 and 3-0 here for Colgate. Feldman finds the zone. It's a 3-1 count now for Colgate, who's switched over to a designated player for Game 2.
Yeah, and isn't that the way it usually goes? 3-0 count, and then finally strike one. As now it goes to 3-2, Colgate fouling that one back.
So now the 3-2, because yeah, you got an auto take in the 3-0 count. Let the pitcher from the circle throw you a strike, and then challenged on the 3-1. Here's the 3-2. The framing attempt won't work from Chevalier, and Colgate gets a lead-off walk. And that'll certainly be what the Mocs need to get started here.
And the first walk by Tampa pitching in this doubleheader. Well, with the perfect game by Galehouse in Game 1.
This one's lined, and we saw Colgate take a jump. I think she was going to steal second. And that, my friend, is the risk of the hit and run. It is a perfectly executed double play. 4-3 to get the second out of the inning.
Yeah, Colgate jumped as soon as the bat hit the ball. And unfortunately for her, everything went Tampa's way defensively. And so just like that, there's 2 down for Florida Southern in the top of the second.
I'll say Feldman does a great job of just getting weak contact or balls that are generally playable for the infield like we saw there. Hasn't been super strikeout heavy and isn't always impeccable on her control. But an elite ground ball pitcher nonetheless, and sometimes the line drives will turn into magic. 1-1 here against Brady, and this one's fouled back. Of course, Feldman transferred from Utah last season, was one of the best pitchers in the entire Sunshine State Conference, and from the circle has also still been extremely dominant. 1 or 2 not perfect outings, I think, have sent her ERA up, but still easily one of the best in this entire Spartan staff. There's a reason that she's the 1-2 combo alongside Galehouse.
I like that Michaela Brady, looking at that one, that one just outside. A lot of hitters would have tried to take on that one.
That one fouled back.
And now Brady not happy with herself.
I think in that case, Feldman retakes the lead in the mental battle between her and Brady. Here's another 2-2. Grounded to third, but it's going to be ruled foul. Would have been a tough throw to get it in time by Russo. Great dive.
Yeah, this is really developing into an interesting at-bat. With UT having turned that double play, Florida Southern has their balloon pop just a little bit because they'd say, okay, we finally got our first hit off of Tampa pitching today, but now we need to do something more than that. And boy, oh boy, Michaela Brady really battling here to not let this half inning end. And Mary Beth Feldman, of course, you know, that perfect game is a tough act to follow. So there's a little bit of pressure that you put on yourself to say, well, first and foremost, we need to win. Second of all, I don't want to get hit like crazy. And now look at this. All of a sudden, Florida Southern.
I'll say the good news is for Feldman, the first goal of winning, she's had a lot of success with it. In fact, leads the Spartans team with 6 on the season. Now the 3-2, swung on and missed, and Feldman with a strikeout to get out of the inning. There was a leadoff walk, but good defense and a big strikeout make it a 1-2-3 by way of double play. We'll be back right after this.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Mox Spartans, inning number 2. I'm Taylor Storthy, alongside Bruce Morsniak. And we were talking over the break. It's a brand new game between these teams. Tampa won in a very, very convincing fashion in game number 1, but that's why they played the game. And number 2, even though it's a 2-run lead for the Spartans, there's time for the Mox to get back into it.
But, you know, we're going to see the 7, 8, 9 hitters here, and the number 7 hitter is Lexi Chevalier, who had a big game 1. So she's coming into this at-bat awfully confident, just based off of what she did earlier this afternoon. And look at that. Well-struck ball. She's going to be out, but really swinging the bat well today.
Yeah, was close to being a potential bloop single, dropping down in no player's land. But unfortunately for Chevalier, Ralston is there to make the grab. One away for Kate DeSimone. And I'll say, when Galehouse departs the Spartans, it's not like they're going to be losing a two-way ace, because they have one in the making on Kate DeSimone, succeeding as a team's first base player and also with some solid outings in the circle throughout her Spartan career and this season.
Yeah, and you mentioned it in Game 1 that she has turned into a nice little utility player because we started to get used to seeing her in the pitching circle, but she has settled in nicely at first base. And as you mentioned, she's no slouch with the bat either.
Indeed, for the season, DeSimone is hitting .364, and while that is slightly lower, actually no, .343 after a quieter Game 1, and while that is a little lower than the team's average on the season, that's still really good. I mean, you're getting on base 34% of the time with hits. That's definitely nothing to laugh at. Already having a great season, and also from the circle, it was earlier in the year where she combined with Galehouse to get the combined perfect game, in quotation marks, that you were there for. I sadly wasn't. Where, again, unfortunately, we'll have to go with a big asterisk because the game wasn't finished. But Galehouse will be able to share an accomplishment with the Puerto Rican national team at the WBC. They also had a walk-off hit in the bottom half of the penultimate inning to end the game early when there was a perfect game in play. So that's a little fun stat that Galehouse can celebrate. DeSimone won't celebrate this fly-out for out number 2, though.
Still a well-hit ball by DeSimone, though. And that follows what we saw Lexi Chevalier do to start the inning. So they're going to look to the number 9 hitter, Steph Ballmer, to see if whether it's a fly ball to the outfield or however she gets it there, if she can get them a base hit here in the bottom of the second.
Strike one taken.
This game does already have the feel of a very different complexion, as though Game 1, for all intents and purposes, never happened. And that's a credit to Florida Southern.
This one fouled and out of play despite the effort from Thomas. And I agree, Bruce. It feels like a new game between these teams. But that's what you have to do after a Game 1 like that. You can't say, oh, boo-hoo. You can't really be too sad about having a tough loss like that. You have to rebound. You have to be like a goldfish. And, for the start, with the exception of a well-placed hit by Mariah Galehouse, they've kept things generally quiet on defense. And the offense has been somewhat active. They've gotten a couple runners on.
Well, and I'm also crediting the Mocs because look at the trouble that they were potentially in inning number 1. And here we are sitting only 2-0 UT.
I think also give some credit to Rogers. Has kept putting the balls in play, trusting her defense, and it's worked more often than it hasn't. 0-2 could get a strikeout to get out of the inning here. Won't get the call. It's going to be outside for ball 1.
The Spartans' leadoff hitter, Lauren Fantone, on deck, hoping to see the batter's box this inning. She led off the game with a hit. And the 1-2 on the way.
So staying alive is Ballmer. Ballmer, Fantone, and Keister form a really good group of hitters that are good at getting on base. If they put a ground ball in play, it is going to be a close one almost every single time. 1-2 again for Ballmer. And that one fouls off of herself. But she will stay alive.
I'm looking at the stadium lights being on, and there's a massive crane, construction crane, out in center field. And lights on that. They kind of give some additional outfield lighting.
That's a fun way for the field to get a little more light, like you mentioned. And during the games in the middle of the day, we actually might occasionally see workers that are trying to work on the buildings behind the field. Anyway, Ballmer staying alive. Staying alive for another pitch in the at-bat. We mentioned Florida Southern was doing a good job, and so was Ballmer. And this one's going to go foul, so we'll go again. It evaded the dive by Thomas.
Mel Rogers, 2.66 ERA entering this game, and a 5-1 1-loss record and making the Spartans work for their meal here in Game 2.
And now the 1-2 to Ballmer, taken outside.
And it's not to imply that Ashley Blesson didn't in Game 1. In fact, her final pitch count, I believe, was north of 120.
I think it was actually 130 potentially for her. A very long outing. And again, did a great job rebounding after the first 3 runs conceded, kept things pretty quiet. It was just probably a mix of just a little too much wear and tear throughout the game that just let a little more offense get through in the 6th. But it's great to see her bounce back after what was a bad start. But Rogers, after just 2 runs conceded, looking for a potentially clean second inning. The 3-2 gets the strikeout, and you can tell she's excited. The Spartans go down in order, but they still lead by 2 as we enter the top of the 3rd. You're watching TampaSpartans.tv. Top of the 3rd, leading off for Florida Southern, is going to be Bryson. It's somewhat easy to remember the stat lines for every Florida Southern hitter in Game 1. It was 0 for 2 across the board. But Game 2, they're going to look to rebound. So far this season, Bryson's hit .309. That was, of course, before this game. Hasn't fully updated on the stat sheet yet. But when it does, it'll be slightly lower, but she'll have a chance to try to continue here. I don't think Fellman would be too eager to let it happen. 0-2 count now to start the top of the 3rd. That one's high for ball 1. Bryson, Morris, and Peck due up. Fouled away. One and 2 again. Bryson kept alive on the foul ball last time. Swung on and missed. It's the 2nd strikeout for Feldman.
That brings up Kiki Rogers. Rogers stepping in here against Mary Beth Feldman. Morris is the center fielder. And Kiki Morris drives it to center field.
However, the Cavern of Nemoli Family Stadium keeps it in. And there's 2 away with Peck going back up to the plate.
The Kiki Morris at bat reminded me of Kelsey Peck starting off the game. Only took 1 pitch to get the first out of the game. And there you see Kiki Morris retired very quickly.
I have a feeling
this time it's for 2 outs.
Feeling Peck might be now a little more cautious, wanting to avoid a 1 pitch out like in the last at bat. This one was taken low for ball 1. 32 pitches for Feldman through 2 2/3. That's a really good rate. potentially trying to go as fast as Galehouse did in game one. This one's hit down the line. Russo couldn't make the grab. Going to second is Peck. And won't be enough time to get the throw in. It's a 2-out double. And Peck gets on the board with her first hit of the day.
I'll tell you, neither outcome that I was awaiting happened. I was looking for Kelsey Peck to slide because I thought that part two was going to be a relay into second to try to get her. And the Spartans just decided we'll give her the double. And Peck anticipated there's not going to be a throw. I'm going to go in standing up. So good shot in the arm there for Kelsey Peck and for the Mocs.
That's exactly what they needed just to get the offense going. Both their hits have come with 2 outs, so you maybe kind of wish if you're Florida Southern to get those hits earlier so you have more time to try to manufacture a run. But if Gilly Smith can put the ball in play and bring a run home, it would cut that deficit in half. Swing and miss for 0-1 previously. This one's taken outside for ball one.
Yeah, to your point, Taylor, I think this is where, if you're the Mocs, you say, yes, we absolutely would have loved to have had a double take place earlier on when there's not 2 outs, but it's out of your control, and you just have to play the hand you're dealt. And so in this case, Kenley Smith just has to say, all right, I have to advance Kelsey Peck any way I can. Love to get her home, but we'll take moving her to third as long as it means that she's reached base somehow herself and the inning's not over. One and two here against Kenley Smith.
Peck on second. She'll be going on any contact. And good news, no threat of double play this time. This one right to Fellman, and the inning is over. 1 hit, 1 runner left the board. Spartans will maintain a 2-run lead as we enter the bottom of the third. Fantone leads off for the Spartans as we are underway in the bottom of the third. It'll be 1-2-3 due up. The trio has been 2 for 3 to start the game. So ball one taken high. And Rogers quickly responded in the bottom of the second with a quick 1-2-3 inning. From the circle, she'll be looking to do the same in the bottom of the third and keep this a pretty close game.
Yeah, only 28 pitches for Rogers through the first 2 innings. Lauren Fantone here leading off the bottom of the third, ahead in the count 2-0.
Good discipline from Fantone to get ahead. Fouled away, 2-1.
And that one actually came back into the field of play. As you saw, Lily Keister in the on-deck circle ducking to get out of the way. So 2-1 now against Fantone.
Strike 2 taken outside. That was very close. But although it definitely probably was a strike, even though it looked a bit outside, because you always have to remember that home plate isn't just a singular 2-dimensional square. it's actually a 3D object that extends further out. So sometimes hits might actually stay a strike a little bit longer than they actually look. Either way, Fantona's going to fly out here to start the inning. That'll bring up Keister. Keister had a single and later scored on the Gale House RBI. We'll look to get the offense going and give a chance for Russo to potentially bring something home. Ball one taken. These two teams will face each other again tomorrow. After that final game at noon, Tampa next weekend hits the road against Nova Southeastern. They'll be in Winter Park as their Sunshine State Conference schedule continues. Meanwhile, for the Mocs, they'll be back a little quicker. They have a 2-game doubleheader against West Georgia at home before facing St. Leo over the weekend.
And looking at the Sunshine State Conference standings, that Game 1 victory keeps the Spartans perfect at 7-0 in SSC play, while Florida Southern falls to 5-5 in Sunshine State Conference games. And there's a bunch of teams all jammed up there. Berry, Florida Southern, Lynn, Florida Tech, Eckerd, and then Embry-Riddle, Rollins, and Palm Beach Atlantic rounded out. As you see the base hit for Keister.
A good hit up the middle, and I agree, Bruce, just the Sunshine State Conference, in almost every sport, it's so competitive. And we have a lot of good teams throughout the conference. There's a reason that you'll see in regional play a lot of Sunshine State Conference teams making the national tournaments, even when they're not always the best teams in the conference. Now, with a runner on, one away, it's going to be Russo's turn at the plate again. Fouled for an out in her first at-bat. Will she get on here? No, it's going to be caught on the run by Morris, 2 away.
Russo really got a hold of that one, though. And Florida Southern breathes a sigh of relief that it didn't have the distance on it that Alexa Russo would have liked. And in the process, we'll go to the cleanup hitter, Cameron Weininger, as there's 2 outs now in the bottom of the third. And yeah, as you see, catcher Michaela Brady looking down at first, because keep in mind that Lily Keister is on first base for the Spartans.
I'll say that Keister is definitely a base-stealing threat. That's a reason they can be nervous. Keister's going to go as this one's hit deep left field. That's going to get behind. 1 run will score. I think they're going to try for a triple. No, Weininger stays at second. A huge RBI double. And Bryson was not going to get to that one. Overhead and all the way to the wall.
Yeah, Lily Keister came all the way around from first, and she looked like she was ready to go as it is. And as you mentioned, the wheels that she has. And so the Spartans able to turn that into the 3rd run of the game. And it brings up Mariah Galehouse, who, oh, by the way, happened to hit a 2 RBI single in the first inning.
After going 0 for 3 in the previous game, Galehouse started out with a hit. And we'll take strike 1 here. But I think obviously we know how good she is at the plate. And while we're talking about numbers really displaying her strength this season, it's not a surprise to see her performing that well. She's been a superstar for the Spartans. This one's going to be sent high, but unfortunately, it ends the inning as the catch is made by Bryson. The Spartans do bring 1 run home, though, and they'll extend their lead to 3. We'll be back in the top of the 4th right after this. And we are back at the University of Tampa's Namoli Family Stadium. Mary Beth Feldman, one of the team's aces alongside Gail House, is back in the circle. And I'll say the Spartans are blessed with a lot of great pitchers. We already know about the successes of Gail House and Feldman. But you also see Gwen McGinnis with a great start to her Spartan career. 2 games started, 21 innings, only 2 earned. And Kate DeSimone, who started 2 games, hasn't had a single earned run yet this season.
Batter is Skylar Ralston, who had the distinction of getting the first Mox hit of the day. She had a single to right field in the first inning, and I say of the day because in case you're just joining us, these teams already played a game earlier. We started at 5 o'clock, and UT won 8-0. As you see the out there, it was a perfect game in Game 1 for Spartans pitcher Mariah Galehouse, as UT won by virtue of the run-ahead rule. And now here they are. A game, Taylor, that you and I were talking between the break is starting to look a little similar. It was 4-0 Spartans after 3 in Game 1, 3-0 Spartans after 3 here in Game 2.
The striking similarity comes with the first and third inning scores for the Spartans. That was the case in Game 1. But indeed, the Spartans got a perfect game with an asterisk because it didn't go all 7, which is kind of a shame that the run-ahead rule is in play for that. But at this point, you know, a player like Gail House, not getting a perfect game isn't going to be the end of the world for her. She cares about getting the victory, and she'll be satisfied with keeping them quiet for as long as she needed to. And in this game, she'll be happy that she found more success in the batter's box.
But you know, for Florida Southern, you not only have to feel good that it's quote-unquote only 3-0 instead of 4-0, but they've cleaned up the errors. No errors committed so far by the Mocs in Game 2, which you and I discussed was a problem for them in Game 1.
Yep, they had 2 errors in Game 1. It was later updated in Point Streak, or not Point Streak, Sats broadcast site here from 3. We were a little confused to find out which number was correct. But, yeah, indeed, they've been looking better defensively. Someone else who looked good defensively previously, Balmer, who made a good play at short. Balmer's going to have to make another, and will do so with ease. 2 away.
Really, really solid defensive play there. And I noticed the wind really picking up. If you look at the American flag out next to the scoreboard, we'll have to see if that becomes a factor at all.
Keep an eye on some of the Spartan power hitters, players like Chevalier. If they get enough under the ball, the wind could carry it in the right direction. We only saw 1 home run the entire season clear the fence here at Namoli Family Stadium. It was in a night game where Alexa Russo belted one deep straight center field. The hardest way to hit a home run for the longest possible distance over the wall. As this one's grounded to Balmer, she gets all 3 outs in the innings from short. Great stuff from Balmer to go 1, 2, 3. Feldman keeps him quiet one more time. We'll enter the bottom of the 4th with a 3-0 Spartan lead. Due up is Perkins, Chevalier, DeSimone.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart.
The lights are on at the field. Day has gradually turned tonight as we enter the bottom of the 4th inning. Now, if we looked at the previous game's scripts, Bruce, it would certainly be a 1-2-3 inning here for Florida Southern. But Tampa's going to try to make something new happen, just like Florida Southern will. Although, we said that we were planning to talk about the fact that Florida Southern had avoided errors up until this point. and that turned out to be the unheard commentator jinx.
Yeah, they had not committed any errors as opposed to Game 1 when they committed 3. Now, the other thing that's been different, and this is to Florida Southern's advantage, is in Game 1, their pitcher, Ashley Blesson, walked 6 batters, and here, thus far, Rogers has not walked anybody. As you see, squaring around and showing bunt is Lexi Chevalier. So the Spartans, by way of an error, do get a runner aboard here to start the bottom of the 4th. And we had said before the break that UT was up 4-0 after 3 in Game 1, 3-0 after 3 in Game 2. And let's see how the Mocs respond here, because that's tough. Those errors, committed the way that one was, those are really tough.
Chevalier drops it down, and great discipline by Brady to let it keep rolling. If she just didn't hold on and say, well, it's going to roll out, that could have been a base hit for Chevalier, as it was really nicely placed down the line.
I'll tell you what, Lexi Chevalier was off to the races and wasn't going to stick around to wait and see. And that's a great lesson for the young players that are here watching, is to run those out. And the worst that happens is exactly what you saw there. You just have to make the trot back to the batter's box, but you're still alive.
0-2 for Chevalier. Won't bunt this time, as this one gets sent deep left field. I don't think it rolled back into the field either, but it also wasn't anywhere near play, so we'll go again with an 0-2 count.
We talked about what a good Game 1 Lexi had, and she's really making contact with the ball today. Really good night for her in both games.
Talked about the wind. It's actually died down a bit now. You can tell with the flag out in right field. Swing and a miss in the dirt. Chevalier got fooled by the curveball. Or maybe a changeup. I couldn't tell how much the break was in that pitch.
So that'll bring up Kate DeSimone, who is 0 for 1 in this game. And so 1 out for the Spartans in the bottom of the 4th and a runner on first base.
Double play opportunity. That would be the dream for Florida Southern. Taken low. Brady was ready in case they were trying something with Perkins.
And DeSimone, of course, abundantly aware of that. And will do everything in her power to avoid hitting into what would be an inning-ending double play.
Strike one taken. Still a great showing here from the fans for both teams. Excited to see if Game 2 is going to flip the script for the Mocs, or Tampa will get ahead 2-0 in the series entering tomorrow. Taken, it's 1-2. Brady keeps looking back at first base to make sure Perkins isn't trying to steal.
Speaking of tomorrow, if the viewers that are with us tonight are in the West Central Florida area, do come out and see the game in person tomorrow, 12 o'clock. And if you're not able, then by all means join us on TampaSpartans.tv. What should be another exciting afternoon of college softball.
And we extend that invite out to the Mocs fans too. A lot of Mocs faithful out here, and I don't think it's a super far drive from here to Florida Southern, so that would be realistic for more of the local fans. I bet a lot of them are already out here. And now the 2-2, taken outside again. Good discipline by DeSimone to work the count full. Rogers hasn't conceded a walk yet, like we mentioned. We'll see if she will challenge DeSimone to put a ball in play here.
Don't forget, Kate DeSimone, when she flew out to left field in the second, that was a really well-hit ball. And the Spartans, you got to think, Taylor, that it's just a matter of time before they get one to go.
And that one, another well-hit ball. It's going to land in the corner, but that corner happens to be about 15 feet away from the foul line, so it will be a repeat of this full count. But yeah, that was hit really well. And like I said earlier, make that 45 degrees to the right, and that's a run coming home.
And the way that the wind is starting to pick up, I'm watching these trees on the foul side here of third base. You just never can tell. Somebody gets a hold of one.
Get enough air and anything's possible. 3-2. This one lined and foul again. That time it was down the right line. Went the opposite direction twice in a row now.
Speaking of some of the lessons for young players to take away from this game, it's great to see a lot of the young kids that are out here in their softball uniforms watching these college athletes and learning from them. As you see DeSimone follow off another one, it's a great opportunity for them to come out and watch the very players that they probably aspire to be and learn from the crowd so close to the field.
And I think especially when it comes to the Spartans having so many longtime veterans, COVID restriction rules have turned players that would be in their 5th and 6th years of action into the absolute perfect mentors. There's one. Smith holds on, not going to try for a double play.
I'm a little surprised. Kelsey Peck started that play nicely. They get the out at second, and you're waiting for that throw to first. Kind of surprising not to see the attempt made.
I think they would have had a chance to get DeSimone too, but maybe just cautious, not wanting to make a miss throw there. Try to keep the runner at first. That brings up Balmer, who's going to pop this one up, so I guess no harm, no foul on the missed double play, as Smith will make the catch to end the inning. Spartans get a couple runners, but they'll get stranded. Good recovery by Rogers again. Entering the top of the 5th, it's a 3-0 Spartan lead.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
And we are back, and I got to give an announcement that I know that if my grandma's watching up from heaven would be a little annoyed that I didn't mention already. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. And technically night now that his sun has set. The only green you'll see on the field is any picked up grass from any diving catches in the outfield. Haven't seen a lot of fly balls sent Fantone, Keister, or Galehouse's way. But for now, the Spartans still lead 3-0. They have found a bit of luck so far. This one's going to be hit deep. So right as I say there isn't a lot of action, Keister will make the first out.
Let the record show that I can see from here that Lexi Chevalier has her hair tied back with some kind of green ribbon. So she's obviously brought a little bit of St. Patrick's Day celebrating to the ball field.
And in game one, maybe that was the good luck charm, as she had gone 3 for 4 alongside Avery Perkins and helping build that crucial win for the Spartans. 0-1 now against Brady. Swung on and missed 0-2. Brady struck out in the second inning. That was her first at bat. And Feldman with 2 strikeouts on the game, looking for number 3. Tried getting her with the outside pitch. It did not work. 1-2.
Jessica Bryson in the on-deck circle for the Mocs, as we are seeing the 6, 7, 8 hitters this half inning.
Foul back. Stays 1-2. And again, I think even better on view of the camera, the green ribbon that has tied Chevalier's hair back as she is celebrating St. Patrick's Day. The 1-2. And good discipline to hold up by Brady. It looked like she was ready to go, but we'll take it.
Looks like Mary Beth Feldman going with the green ribbon to tie her hair back as well.
This one's going to be hit to left. Tracking it and getting on a dive is Fantone. I think maybe she just misread it by 1 step before. But the good news is she's right there and makes that catch look easier than it probably actually was. So if she was a step closer, she probably wouldn't have had to fall to get it. But hey, at the end of the day, I don't think Leslie Cantor is going to be too disappointed as long as it lands in her glove for the second out of the inning.
Well, and especially given what a veteran she is and how many she will make look routine. So you're right, that one will just kind of be forgotten about. And now they move on to Jessica Bryson, who struck out in the third inning.
After Feldman got the strikeout to get out of the second, Bryson struck out to lead off the third, and now has an 0-1 count against Feldman, taken high. So actually, I will mention, Bryson's listed as a right-handed hitter, but is actually, I believe, a switch hitter then, because she is batting from the left-handed spot in the batter's box. So interesting there. Maybe your information wasn't completely correct, or our information meant. 1-2 now. That curveball taken in the zone.
And now you see the wind picking back up, the American flag to the side of the scoreboard.
So hope it stays a little windy in the bottom half, which could be coming soon. The 1-2. Nope, goes high for ball 2. One more time, the 2-2. Bryson keeps alive. Feldman a little more on the pitch count throughout the game. I believe now she is equal to where her teammate Galehouse had finished the first game at 59 pitches. And I believe this upcoming one will be number 60. And this one's going to go low for a full count.
Taylor, it'll be interesting to see who Leslie Cantor goes with in the circle tomorrow.
I think my guess would probably be Galehouse, but they also might give her the day off and try out Gwen McGinnis and keep Galehouse ready in case they need her from the bullpen. Swung on and missed. No, fouled. From this angle, it looked like a complete whiff, but it just deflects off the bat backward.
You know, you look at the Spartans' record, and the temptation is to say, we got to keep up all this winning. And you say, no, we do need to get the younger players high-pressure situations where they say, hey, there's a lot on the line here. We have such a great one-loss record. I don't want to be the one to give up a loss. So maybe you do all of a sudden, as you suggested, maybe you give Galehouse the day off as a reward for the perfect game, and you say, let's let Gwen McGinnis get a start here at home and give her a chance.
And I think just keeping Galehouse ready because she can always come into the game at a moment's notice is a good idea, too. So
all the more reason for everyone to tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. The 3-2 fouled away. But it would be fun to see the freshman from Tallahassee get to work here. She's definitely a big part of the Spartans' future in pitching. And I think I already mentioned her stats. A really good start to the season in her limited appearances. Now full count again. This at bat continues. Bryson's kept alive. And will stay alive again. I think Mary Beth is going to have to be a little careful here. You're having so many foul balls, that gets in your head as a pitcher. You're thinking, what do I have to do to get this batter out?
And in the meantime, Kiki Morris in the on-deck circle, hoping that she'll get an opportunity this half inning.
That one's going to be grounded to Balmer. And another quick play. And what I've also noticed from Balmer, a very powerful arm. She's made a lot of great throws to first. That'll end the top of the fifth inning. Another quick one for Feldman with a longer at-bat to close out the inning. But still 1-2-3. And now for the Spartans, 1-2-3 will be leading off the inning when we come back. Lauren Fantone leads off. She's 1 for 2 today with a single in the first, flew out in the third. But with that wind, a flyout could go differently this time around. Strike one taken. And what will be really excited to see is with this wind, Alexa Russo to step up to the plate. She knows how to clear the fences at the University of Tampa. 2 home runs last season. One of them over the big wall, the other over the tournament shorter walls.
Well, and she is due up this inning. It's Fantone, Keister, and Russo.
0-2 as this one's fouled away. Similar to the baseball team, there's not a lot of easy at-bats for the Spartans softball team. Great hitters up and down the order, from Balmer to Fantone. Fantone, always a consistent player to get on base. And we'll now get back into the count as it's 1-2. Give you a quick update on the line score. Spartans have 3 runs on 5 hits and no errors. Florida Southern has no runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. This one, will it get down? Not in time. It's a diving catch by Bryson. Bryson has been all over the place in the outfield. Similar to Fantone, making those good plays in left. And this time, makes a great dive to get out number 1.
Yeah, really great play there by Jessica Bryson, because I've raved about Lauren Fantone being reliable, and that looked like it was going to be another case of her reaching base to start an inning. And it's a game of inches, and Bryson showed some great hustle there, made a great catch. And so now Lily Keister comes up with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th.
Keister, and that one takes a bad hop off Peck. And that's, I think, really unlucky. And that's a really tough one to grade. It'll be graded as an error, but it's kind of unlucky because you have a very bumpy dirt infield here. Bad hops will happen. I mean, the worst bad hop in history had to come from Dave Steeb, and 2 outs on a potential perfect game where a bad hop absolutely skies over the second baseman's head, ending what could have been a magical moment for him. This one, a little less of a hop, but unfortunately for Beck, it will give her an error. She's done great at short today.
Here's Russo, and I'm watching that American flag for the wind that you talked about. Yeah, Kelsey Peck has been wonderful. Great defensive play by her at shortstop, and shouldn't beat herself up about that. As I said before, it sounds cliche, but it honestly is a long season, and you are going to get a bad infield here or there, a bad hop here or there, just the ball in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And that's another time being in the slightly wrong place. Peck was careful, I think, trying to be closer to second, looking for a double play opportunity, but that one's hit square in the gap between short and third for a base hit. And that's going to bring up Cameron Weininger with 2 aboard and 1 away. That wind will still be blowing. And also, Russo's going to get pinch ran here. It's going to be number 11, Mackenzie Allen. And I'll say it's good to see Allen pinch running. We know that she is also pretty fast in the base paths.
But getting back to that hit by Russo, though, you and I wanted to see a ball hit in the air and see if the wind would take it. But Russo is just such an accomplished hitter, just really placed the ball well, struck the ball well, and that was just a classic base hit that Kelsey Peck nor any other infielder was going to get to.
I think certainly my comp for that hitting type of style would have to be Aaron Judge. And while Aaron Judge did set an American League 62 home run record, he also knows just how to get on base. There's a reason that he was hitting over 300, and it wasn't because he was hitting for home runs every at-bat. It's because he's a smart hitter and knows when to just hit a nice line drive, get one down in no man's land, or hit one up the middle for a base hit. And Russo this year has really developed those same habits. That one's in the dirt, 1-1. Weininger fooled that time by Rogers.
Just to reset here, there's 1 out in the bottom of the 5th, and you've got now Mackenzie Allen at first base and Lily Keister at second, as Cameron Weininger waits for the 1-1 pitch now.
Weininger gets to it. It foul. Just drops a little too late. That stays fair. It would have brought a run home, as Keister was definitely moving.
Sensing a little frustration from Cameron. She knew that was going to go foul, though. You saw her keep the bat with her as she started to jog out of the batter's box.
I don't think you can blame Cameron for being a little disappointed on that play. The 1-2 fouled back.
At the same time, I give her credit for the way she's keeping this at-bat going here, down 1-2, but she knows that it's a crucial moment. Her team is only up by 3. They do have a runner in scoring position. And this is why she's in the number 4 slot. They're looking for her to come through.
Didn't go, held up just enough, and it's going to be a 2-2 count. That's a tough pitch. I think she was looking fastball. It turned out to be a slider low and away. So with 2 aboard, it's another 2-2.
And I think you want to reward your coach for putting you in the number 4 position. I think Weininger.
This one's popped up. The catch is made by Thomas. And unfortunately, won't be able to reward Coach Cantor this time around.
Yeah, I think Weininger really wanted to bring someone home, if not advance the runners, for exactly that reason, to show Leslie Cantor, I belong here in the number 4 spot. But again, it's too much pressure to put on yourself. You're going to deliver some other time, just not that one. And we'll look to Mariah Galehouse in the meantime.
Galehouse 1 for 2 today in the second game. And I think that was a similar case for Galehouse. Wanted to do that in the first game, but just wasn't able to do so. The first pitch in the second game is sent to center field and brings 2 runs home. 2 runners on base again, and they will be running no matter what with 2 away. You don't have a double play threat to worry about. Ball 2 taken inside. By the way, if you're wondering what other Spartans besides Russo could be long ball threats, Weininger has 3 home runs, Galehouse has 3 home runs, Fantone 2, Chevalier 2, and Stephanie Balmer has 1. Fouled away, it's 2-1.
I think Leslie Cantor shows her confidence in what Galehouse can do offensively. Galehouse stepped out of the batter's box and looked down to third base for some instructions, and Leslie Cantor gave her nothing. You're in control here.
She knows just how good Galehouse is, and I think Cantor just says, hey, trust yourself, and now she'll actually get a sign with a 3-1 count. I have a feeling she might take here and dare her opponent, Rogers, to try to throw a strike. 3-1. Fooled in the dirt. 3-2 here. And we actually see Brady run out to make sure the runners get back. Now with a full count with 2 away, I think both runners will be going. Payoff pitch to Galehouse. That one's sent to the outfield. Will it drop? It is foul by inches.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Man, you were shaking your head. I was kind of gasping. A great hit, but just foul.
Hollywood would have written a little bit better script, but boy, there was so much drama in that ball traveling down the third base line. And I think so many of us were waiting with anticipation to see where it was going to drop. We'll do it one more time at least.
The payoff pitch one more time. That's ball 4, and the bases are loaded for Avery Perkins. Unfortunately, her bat has gone a little colder in this game, 0 for 2, but we can't forget the 3 for 3 and eventually 3 for 4 day in game 1, bringing home multiple runs. Now is the bases loaded.
Yeah, and I really think the pressure here is on Florida Southern because UT, with the 1-loss record that they have, they're playing at home. They did so well in game 1. They're in control of this one 3-0. The Mocs really need to get an out here.
That one's going to be grounded up the middle. It evades every fielder. A 5-0 lead for the Spartans. It got over Rogers. Peck couldn't get it, and Smith couldn't get it. And obviously Morris isn't going to make that play from center field. The perfect bounce and 2-run score. That's exactly what Perkins needed.
Yeah, that's smarts. That's smarts. If you're the Mocs, boy, that's a tough one. you were 1 out away from getting out of a real jam, and instead now it's 5-0. And sure, there are 2 outs, but keep in mind that UT not only still has 2 runners on, but obviously that means that one of them is in scoring position, so things could go from bad to worse here if Florida Southern's not careful.
You also have Lexi Chevalier due up, and you could also argue that she's due for a hit in this game. Obviously, stats aren't everything, but if you're playing like Chevalier, getting a hit in 1 every 3 at-bats with a .327 average, the odds might be in your favor in your third time around.
Yeah, especially given the big game 1 that she had here earlier.
She's copied the outcome, I think, every single time, maybe except for 1 at-bat for Perkins. Responding a single with a single. And wonder if she could do the same. 0-1. Strike 2 taken on the outside corner.
Rogers, for so many reasons, really needs to close out Lexi Chevalier and get out of this 5th inning. Her team already down 5-0 now.
The 0-2. Swung on and missed. That is a crucial strikeout to strand 2, but the Spartans also scored 2. And kind of a repeat of the first game. It was 5-0 exiting the 5th. It's 5-0 exiting the 5th. Top of the 6th, right after the break, you're watching Tampa Spartans TV on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network. Top of the 6th, Feldman, through 5, has conceded 2 hits, 1 walk, and has also recorded 2 strikeouts. Another great day from the circle for Feldman. 0-1 now as Morris fouls this one off. She's 0-for-1 in the game. Flew out to center field back in the 3rd inning. Keep an eye on the waving flag. It is windy here at Namoli Family Stadium.
Well, keep in mind the weather is what caused the rescheduling. This was supposed to be 1 game tonight and 2 tomorrow.
This one grounded. Russo can't make the play in time. The bunt worked to perfection, and Russo was slow on the transfer. That's what puts a runner aboard. And are they going to grade it a hit or an error? I think an error is the right call, as Russo was slow to make the play.
Just to finish up, so the weather forecast was such that they felt that there'd be inclement weather tomorrow and that it would be better off having 2 tonight. And the way that flag is blowing around, you have to wonder if that's the start of some kind of weather system coming in.
This one's lined. It's going to get down. The throw into 3rd won't be in time. Runners are in scoring position with no outs. Maybe the wind had a little extra carry that time in that line drive.
Yeah, that's the 2nd double for Kelsey Peck in this game. So finally, some life for the Mocs offense, as courtesy of that 2nd Kelsey Peck double, they now have runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Smith is going to be at the plate, and with her speed that she's shown so far, a potential squeeze attempt wouldn't be impossible. That's a wild pitch, but too easy to get. Morris is not going to try it.
It's interesting. Kelsey Peck jumped from 2nd base right away, yet there was, for all intents and purposes, no movement made by Kiki Morris from third base on that wild pitch.
The 1-0 fouled away. It's going to be 1-1. And I think the big goal for Smith, she wants to put the ball in play to bring a run home so Florida State isn't shut out twice today. For Southern. One and one. This one line gets down. One run will come home. Runners are at the corners with no one out. A good series of hitting from the Mocs has brought one run home and set the deficit to 4.
Yeah, Kiki Morris crosses the plate. Kelsey Peck winds up at third. And so now runners on the corners, nobody out. And Florida Southern finally in inning 6 of game 2.
And that'll be the day for Feldman. Leslie Cantor sees that Feldman is running a little low on stamina, so they're going to make a call to the bullpen. The question is, who is it? I think it's going to be McGinnis. So I think that might give us an answer of who's going to be starting tomorrow. It looks like it'll probably be Galehouse or potentially DeSimone. McGinnis comes in relief. She'll be tasked with the final 2 innings. For her season, an 0.65 ERA. Opponents are hitting 167 against her. And I think it's a good move here. Feldman has had a good game, but ultimately, any bit of offense can quickly turn into a flurry of runs. And Cantor wants to keep this game as a lockdown victory. So this change will be made. Ralston will be the first opponent for McGinnis. She inherits 2 runners from Feldman, first and third, and I definitely think Smith could be active in the base paths. Takes a big lead, but that is a wild throw from Chevalier, and a run comes home. It's 5-2. Chevalier was just trying to check up Peck at third, but Russo can't make the grab. And that will be graded as an error. The earlier hit in the inning wasn't. It's now a 5-2 game. Runner on second.
Yeah, I was going to say that really changes the complexion of things because Kelsey Peck scores to make it 5-2. There's nobody out. You still have a runner in scoring position at second base. So the plot thickens here, and Skylar Ralston, who again, going back to, she was the first Florida Southern player to get a hit off of Tampa pitching today back in the first inning. So there's a little bit of confidence in her bat.
And that one, I think, went off the umpire on that foul ball. It looks like he's going to be okay, which is a good sign. But always a little scary to see that happen.
And you see Steph Ballmer just having a quick word or two with Gwen McGinnis. Gwen McGinnis, I must say, looks very composed for someone who just came into a slightly pressure-filled situation. And that has to be encouraging for Leslie Cantor to see her freshman pitcher not really fazed by what she's walking into. And obviously she'll let her pitching speak for herself.
This one's popped up and already gets the first out of the inning to Weininger. I know should have liked that to stay with runners at the corners. But as the fireman trying to put out the blaze, 1 of 3 done. Here comes Taylor Thomas with a runner on second. And also good news as well, Wadsworth got a round of applause as he was all good.
Taylor Thomas 0 for 2 in this game. And there you see, starts off 0-1. Thomas flew out to center field in the first, and then a ground out to short in the fourth. Batting here in the top of the sixth, their team has scored twice.
If we want to talk strikeout to walk ratios, well, McGinnis is 20-1 for the season with 20 strikeouts and 1 conceded. Excellent command. You don't always see that from a freshman. Ball 2 taken high.
You know, we don't want to throw too many roses at Gwen McGinnis's feet just yet, but not a terrible start here. And currently working against Taylor Thomas.
Fouled back. It's going to be 2-2.
This is another case, Taylor, of where if you're Gwen McGinnis, you want to show your coach that she made the right decision and that you can be counted on in a situation such as like this that Gwen McGinnis faces.
That one's lined. It's going to get down. 1 run should score. And Tampa keep it as a single. That'll be disappointing for McGinnis. But for Florida Southern, they are now within breathing distance. Tying run at the plate. It's 5-3.
This is why we talked about insurance runs in Game 1. The Spartans know the Mocs well enough that they can anticipate this type of comeback attempt. And Florida Southern coming alive here. Their bats waking up in this top of the sixth.
Colgate flies this one high. Tracking it, and can't make the catch is Weininger. 0-1 in the count.
Yeah, really great effort. Kind of reminds me of the play that the Florida Southern catcher tried behind home plate. And as you mentioned, the ball bouncing off of her head with no gear on.
Swung on and missed, 0-2.
Great pitch there by McGinnis. She got Colgate to chase on that one. Here's the 0-2.
This one gets through. And so the potential tying runs at first. And things have gone from good to better for Florida Southern. That'll bring up Connor now.
Yeah, this is quite a shift in momentum. And even though the Spartans have a 2-run lead, the Mocs have to have all kinds of confidence right now, finally breaking through.
(0-1). The confidence is going to quickly evaporate. Heads up catch and tag. The double play by Kate DeSimone. And I guarantee you that is going to get a lot of compliments from her teammates on the play. That's very unlucky for Connor. That looked to be a good line drive, but it just goes right to DeSimone. And with a quick little lead at first, Colgate is out. Double play, that ends the inning. The Florida Southern has made this a ball game.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium as the Spartans get ready to hit in the bottom of the sixth inning. Their lead was 5-0, has been trimmed to 5-3, and we'll see the 8, 9, and 1 hitters as Kate DeSimone currently at bat, facing Mel Rogers. Rogers 79, her pitch count through the first 5 innings. She struck out 3 and walked 1. And here comes the 1-0 from her to Kate DeSimone.
That one's going to roll away in the dirt from Brady. And I'll say, Bruce, if you're Rogers, now your job is just to keep the Spartans quiet and get your hot bats back to the plate, because they just scored 3 runs, turning this from what will look to be a 5-0 potential shutout victory to try to take a 2-0 series lead into what could be a very entertaining finish at the Namoli Family Stadium. DeSimone, however, was playing the role of damage limitation, turning an excellent unassisted double play on the line drive to end the top of the 6th.
There's also the unknown, which is the errors. Florida Southern committed 3 in Game 1. They've committed 2 so far here in this one, and that could be a difference maker. And the Mocs have to just absolutely be 100% dialed in so that they don't do anything that opens the door in the least for UT.
DeSimone must have thought that there was 4 balls. She was about to get to first, and the umpire reminded her that, nope,
you did not walk, at least not yet.
Not yet. Instead, she's going to get a base hit through the line, so she will get to first, but in a slightly better outcome than a walk. That was goofy. It even fooled the stats team here for a second. They've got the fix. It's another hit for the Spartans. And now stepping up to the plate is Stephanie Balmer.
Steph Balmer, the number 9 hitter, 0 for 2 in this game. And not starting off the way that, Taylor, you mentioned that Rogers would have wanted, which would be to keep the Spartan bats quiet so that her teammates could get back to the plate offensively. As Kate DeSimone singles UT's 8th hit of the game.
DeSimone took a lead from first. And by the way, we're going to see a conference in the circle. That will be the day for Rogers, I think. Or will it? We saw Brady taking the ball here, but I'm not sure whether that's also going to lead to a pitching change.
And Michaela Brady jumped up and was out to the circle right away. And then you see Mo Triner coming out there, and in fact, Rogers is going to stay in the game. So just a brief conference to maybe try to settle things down, and as you said, try to keep the Spartans from turning this inning into anything threatening, as now Balmer is ready for the 1-0 offering from Rogers.
So now the 1-0, the infield playing in, they're expecting the bunt, and while Balmer got a good jump, the bunt goes foul. It's 1-1.
She got a good jump, and so did Kate DeSimone, who had already settled in nicely at second base and has to retreat. You also might have seen there on your screen Lauren Fantone, who might have come into the picture. She's in the on-deck circle. And now the 1-1 on the way, showing bunt again way up high. And so Balmer gets ahead in the count 2-1. And this is exactly what Mel Rogers did not want and needs to get ahead here. Best case scenario, get Balmer to get into a double play. No, there's going to be a sac bunt. DeSimone over to second. So Balmer successful with the sacrifice bunt. And the pressure continues for Rogers despite there being 1 out, because now UT has a runner in scoring position and threatening to make this a 3-run game.
Indeed, Bruce, the sacrifice worked to absolute perfection on that play, as that will bring up Keister. Or no, sorry, Fantone. Almost thought the stats didn't update for a second. I apologize. Now it's a 1-0 count here. A 2-run game would be better than a 3-run game. That's going to be the job for Rogers here. Runner in scoring position for the Spartans. Infield playing a little bit in. The wind has died down, so wind won't be carrying balls as far as they had been earlier. But I certainly wouldn't treat Fantone as a player who can't put the ball deep into the outfield. She's already gotten on base earlier in the game. 1-1. Fouled away, 1-2.
The offense has really been spread around in this game, too, this doubleheader. Also, the first 6 hitters in the UT batting order have all had at least one hit, and 7 of the 9 have all had one base hit, if not 2, in the case of Lily Keister, who, oh, by the way, just happens to be in the on-deck circle.
Before that, though, Fantone will have to deal with the 1-2 count. Can she give some more insurance to McGinnis? This one popped up. And DeSimone is going to just rest at second as there's 2 away for Keister.
So Keith DeSimone holds at second. She represents what would be the Spartans' 6th run of this game. They scored 8 in the first game, shortened by the run-ahead rule. 8-0 UT victory. And so here goes Keister against Rogers in the bottom of the 6th.
Taken for strike 1. And again, Brady very cautious about Kate DeSimone at second. Always ready, I think, to make a throw. And DeSimone just strays too far from the base. Now let's see what Keister can do. 2 hits in the game. Number 3 could bring home a run, but it's 0-2.
You would think that Rogers would be exhaling a little bit, but I don't think she's going to do so fully until she gets herself out of this inning, especially with that runner on second base. Hoping to finish it off here, though. The 0-2 pitch on the way.
0-2 to Keister. Outside, ball 1. Good take there.
Lily singled in the 1st and the 3rd, reached on an error in the 5th. And here she is batting in the bottom of the 6th.
2-2 outside, and good discipline from Keister. Watching the slider just miss the plate. And with 2 away, I know that Cantor would love a run to come home here. Give more of a cushion as the final 3 outs could potentially be in play at the top of the next inning. Fouled away.
Lily Keister coming back from what was an 0-2 hole. 2-2 with 2 outs and a runner on second. 2s are wild. A 2-run lead for her team.
Keister keeping alive in the at-bat with another foul ball. Rogers is definitely over 100 pitches, or will about to be at the end of this at-bat. Wonder if fatigue could set in the same way it did back in the bottom of the 6th last time. But for now, she's looked good. Blesson had been suffering from that last time. In the dirt, it's 3-2. Full count.
Wow, the plot thickens.
It's a real high leverage at bat here. A hit would bring home a run. A walk would bring Russo up. But even with the dead wind, Russo is a dangerous player.
Here's the 3-2.
This one's a short play to Peck. The throw is in time, and it will still be a 2-run game as we enter the top of the 7th. The last chance for the Mocs to make some magic happen. Due up will be the 7, 8, 9 hitters. You're watching Tampa Spartans TV.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
And we're back. Gwen McGinnis will have a potential 2-inning save to play for. Already got out of the first inning of work with 2 hits allowed. Both runs that scored were unfortunately going to count for Feldman. Although actually there was an error, so maybe Feldman isn't due for all of them. No, she is. But 3 more outs, and the Spartans can take a 2-0 series lead. What would have been an anticlimactic 5-0 finish was greatly changed after an offensive explosion in the top of the 6th. Swing and a miss for strike 1.
Yeah, Taylor, let's not overlook the fact that this is a 2-run game right now, and at this point the Mocs are just looking to tie it. They don't necessarily have to win it right now, and if one of these first 3 batters can get on base, they're going to go back to the top of the order for Kelsey Peck, who's 2 for 3 from the leadoff slot in this game, and all of a sudden looks like a very dangerous 2 for 3. Keep in mind, those have both been doubles, so you don't want to get Kelsey Peck up in an inning where you're going to have at least 1 runner on base, because if you're Florida Southern, you're licking your chops and saying, I like our chances.
The 1-2, this one popped up and fouled. And again, this is a finish that Florida Southern wanted. They've made God bleed, and now they might refuse to believe in it. It'll set them, as you mentioned, it will be setting them up well for the game tomorrow at noon. I mean, if it's as exciting as this one, you just have to be there, whether it's in person or back on stream on Tampa Spartans TV. It's a 2-run game, and now it's a 2-2 count. This one flared foul. DeSimone tries, but won't get to it. Instead is going to go to anyone who's walking by the Florida Southern bullpen.
So on deck, Jessica Bryson, and then the number 9 hitter will be Kiki Morris. And again, the Mocs fans hoping to see any of them reach base to get back to the top of the order, and Kelsey Peck.
This one's going to be hit and foul on the left field line. Again, just taking a second to see. Those are always a little bit nerve-wracking, the ones that get to the outfield, but despite the effort for Fantone, won't have to worry. It's going to be a 2-2 count now. Taken low, and it's a full count for Brady. You can tell excitement throughout the stadium. A big 3-2 pitch here. Swung and tipped. Almost a miss. We'll go again.
Gwen McGinnis came fast with that pitch, no real delay in between. And looks like she's ready right away with this next offering too. Here it is.
This one popped up and foul. So again, the full count will stay alive.
Yeah, Michaela Brady really battling in this at-bat.
I know that'll be tough for McGuinness to keep battling back. And now something had to give. It is a opening walk. The tying run is at the plate for Florida Southern. And here comes Leslie Cantor. I would not be surprised if they're ready to make another change. It's instead, they're going to bring in a right fielder. And I think I know the reason why. Because they're going to be bringing in a right fielder into the game for the save. Mariah Galehouse hasn't conceded a hit all night or a base runner. They're hoping she's still got it, and I think she's got a little bit of juice left.
Well, this is what I was mentioning that Florida Southern would want to have happen is one of their first 3 hitters get on base so that when Kelsey Peck comes to the plate at the top of the order, she could potentially tie the game. If the Mocs haven't already done so by that point, I don't want to overlook Jessica Bryson or Kiki Morris. But the Spartans realize that that potential is there, and so Leslie Cantor counters by saying, well, fine, then I'll just bring Mariah Galehouse back in and hope that she can pick up in the pitching circle where she left off in Game 1 with 6 perfect innings en route to the 8-0 win. And the home plate umpire is over talking to the Florida Southern coach, and now he's going to go and relay some information to Leslie Cantor, as we might be getting a pinch hitter here. No, it's just Jessica Bryson going over and having a quick word with Kiki Morris in the on-deck circle. And now everybody's ready to resume.
These breaks can sometimes be extended as Galehouse takes just a warm-up pitch or two. But I think if she's back in the zone, she can try to get a win for the Spartans. Bryson faced Galehouse 2 times earlier today and had 2 outs in play both times. An out in play could get a run moving. As again, Florida Southern just looking to cut this deficit even closer. It's a tying run at the plate with another potential run at first. Strike 1 taken. The insurance runs in the bottom of the 5th turned out to be the most important runs of the game for the Spartans because it gives them a 2-run lead entering this crucial final inning. The bunt is fouled away. That was an idea to try to get a runner moving. And while you do have to be careful with all 3 outs, all you do need is a couple lucky hits. Galehouse didn't get a 7th inning in Game 1. Maybe she can treat this inning as such here. The 1-2. Outside, a couple oohs from the crowd, but I do think that missed.
Well, keep in mind that there's a good deal of Florida Southern fans on hand here, and this game is really
grounded over to second. They get the first out, so it works as a sacrifice on a fielder's choice. It was a tough play, so Weininger had no time to try to get the lead runner.
Yeah, this game has really had so much drama, and now you see in the form of the tying run coming to the plate with the asterisk meaning that the runner has advanced to second. So runner in scoring position and only 1 out.
Chevalier on top of it. It's a 1-0 count now for Kiki Morris. And on deck is Peck. You mentioned that all they needed was a runner and she'd be active, and certainly she will unless there's a lightning double play. It won't be a double play. A run will score. The go-ahead run steps to the plate, and a tying run is at first. It's a 5-4 game. Morris delivers an RBI single when they need it the most. So sadly for Galehouse, that's the first hit she's conceded all day, and it comes at a time where, I think Cantor was hoping that it wouldn't be conceded, and now the pressure keeps growing. But if there's one player who can thrive under pressure, it's certainly Mariah Galehouse. Taken for strike 1. That's a good off-speed pitch.
And I want to correct myself from before. I said that Kelsey Peck has 2 doubles today. She has a double and a single. But regardless, she's definitely a threat.
Swung and missed in the dirt for strike 2. And sorry to talk over you there, Bruce, but even with only 1 extra base hit, what a good day for Peck to respond after Game 1, leading the offense.
And she's got her teammate Kiki Morris down at first, representing the tying run. So a big opportunity here for Peck.
Peck is going to line this. That runner is going to get in scoring position, and even further. It bounced off of Perkins' glove, and it'll be graded as an error out in right field. The tying run is now 66 feet from home, and the team will have a quick conference to try to rally Galehouse to get the final 2 outs.
So Kelsey Peck did exactly what they knew she could do and what they wanted her to do, as she's safe with a single and advances Morris over to third. And keep in mind, all this coming with just 1 out.
And while Fairleigh Dickinson is on upset watch, in men's basketball. Upset watch potentially for Florida Southern, too, as they now have the go-ahead run at first, the tying run, about ready to score, and all they need is that run to force Tampa back up to the plate.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep in mind that obviously if Florida Southern ties it up or goes ahead, Spartans will bat, but what I'm looking at is there's kind of no turning back now in the pitching circle for Leslie Cantor. You're hanging everything on Mariah Galehouse.
Here's the bunt. They were looking for a potential squeeze, but it didn't work. 0-1. Now, of course, they could bring Kate DeSimone into the game, but at this point, I think you do trust Galehouse because she's been the best pitcher for the team this season.
Yeah, and I think it sends a message that you don't want to send if you do that, if you bring in DeSimone and take the ball away from Galehouse.
And again, Galehouse, I think she's completely fine to finish the game after a very shorter first game with only 60 pitches. She could theoretically have started this game and been able to go 4 or 5 innings before you really start to question, okay, can Galehouse go the rest of the way? The 0-2, swung on and missed, and that's an important out number 2. The Spartans fans loving it. The Mocs fans ready to cheer for Ralston, who's also had a good game. And now the pressure is on. To quote Lance Stroll, diamonds are made under pressure. And Ralston would like to shine bright. For Galehouse, she'd like to end the night with a win. 2 away. First pitch, grounded to Galehouse. It's a rough hit, but it's enough. A win, a save. If she wanted to get a 7th inning, well, she got a 7th inning, and it was a really, really entertaining one. We were worried that it was going to be a quiet finish and a Spartan victory for game number 2, but Florida Southern took it to the very end. It's a hit to It's a hit and play to Galehouse, but the throw is in time, and that'll end the game. It's a 5-4 victory for Tampa. They escape what could have been a very crazy finish.
Taylor, this is what we talked about at the end of game 1, meaning you wipe the slate clean, you forget that it happened, whether you were UT or Florida Southern, and look at what happens. UT comes out, and they jump out to a 5-0 lead, and it looks like, wow, they're going to sweep the doubleheader. Will it be by shutout? All of a sudden, Florida Southern says, hey, we're not done yet. They have their say in it, and they go from losing 8-0 to a real heartbreaking 5-4 defeat. Final line score, 5 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for UT, 4 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for Florida Southern. And the Spartans, what more can I say? Just a tremendous 2023 that they're having so far. And I'm not just talking about sweeping this doubleheader. Overall, a 1-loss record of 20-1. Woo. Just a tremendous start. And they'll have another opportunity to play tomorrow afternoon, 12 o'clock, right here against Florida Southern one more time. Florida Southern's record now drops to 14-13. So a very tough Friday night for them in 2 very different respects.
Yeah, I mean, and this one probably stings more than the first game because you had the hope of coming back, and it's the hope that kills you in these games. But that'll motivate Florida Southern as they'll be ready tomorrow looking to break the 3-game losing streak. For the Spartans, they'll be looking to make it number 7 in a row. Feldman will get the win, even though it was a little bit of a close one. Could have potentially been lost at the end. However, Tampa holds on. I think McGinnis gets a hold, and it's going to be Galehouse with another save. She's already coming from the bullpen to finish the job in the circle a few times. I'm Taylor Storthy alongside Bruce Wozniak. We'll see you tomorrow at noon.